This is a broken franchise in Chicago. The ownership, bottom three. Team president, young general manager, hit and miss. If he left, fine. If he stayed, okay. Coaching staff, none of it works. None of it. Yeah, they got some decent players. The Jets have all sorts of good players. They're 4-10. And Caleb Williams, who was privately concerned before the draft but didn't want to be a bad guy, this was his nightmare. They have no leadership. Top down. And by the way, how do you fix it? Well, the only way to fix it, go to the Chargers, who also had a really good young quarterback, had a handful of really, really good players. And they went and stopped screwing around and finally paid big money for a coach. $15 million a year, Jim Harbaugh, and they have not regretted a second of it. They had a bad culture. Why? Most notably, they had a coach, Brandon Staley, that was completely over his skis, just like the Bears staff. You can't blame Thomas Brown. I mean, he's had 3 different parking spots in the organization in 4 weeks. They keep moving him up the food chain. He's not ready for this stuff. He'll be fine. He'll have a nice career. There is only one answer to this. It's Mike Vrabel. That's it. There are no other answers. No more lightweights, no more coordinators. This lift is too big. Even with Vrabel, I'm not sure it can solve everything. But this is an organization and, frankly, a city that's very, very political. And the only times in the history of Chicago, sports or politics, that you've ever had great success is with strong, defiant leadership. Look at the history of the city's sports. You had Theo Epstein. All right. You had Mike Ditka. All right. You start looking around from politics to sports. That's Chicago's answer. Vrabel's it. There's nobody else out there. There's nobody else. No college guys, no lightweight coordinators. The job's too big. And like the Chargers at least, that's why I think this is a big lift. I'm not sure if Vrabel can solve it. The Chargers have always been good at quarterback. I mean, it was Dan Fouts who I grew up watching. Breeze, Rivers, Herbert. They've always been high octane, fun to watch. And it's not like the Spanos family. They had a reputation as being frugal. They weren't crazy. They weren't meddling. They were frugal. They no longer are. They finally just said, sometimes in life you just have to admit, I got to get out of the way. And the Spanos family said, you know what? We're giving it to Harbaugh. And Harbaugh's going to build a staff, and he's going to call the DC, the general manager, and they just got out of the way, and it works. And that's the only way to do it. I think this is a much bigger lift, much, much bigger lift than the Chargers' job. Like when they hired Harbaugh, we all kind of knew, oh, yeah, they go win 10, 11 games. They may make the playoffs, and they're going to. Okay, we can feel that. But this one is, the division is really good with really good coaches. You could have had Cliff Kingsbury. You couldn't get out of the way. You could have had Harbaugh. Kevin Warren couldn't get out of the way. There is only one way to solve this thing. I mean, you won the Bryce Young trade, and you're only 1 game better than Carolina. And it was the steal of the decade. So it's not, and it's just not a quarterback thing. And let me give you an example. And for the television audience, you'll understand this. Radio's a little harder to follow. But if you look at every division in football not named the AFC South, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Kansas City, Rams, Tampa, Detroit, Philly, Washington, I can argue all have either the best owner, the best front office, or both. It's not just the quarterback and coach, although they are really important. It all starts upstairs. Bills, owner, front office, excellent. Lions, front office, excellent. Kansas City, all of the above. Washington flushed all the losers out, have much better people in. Rams, Stan Kroenke, Les Snead. Like it's just a scouting department. You can just keep blaming coaches. You can keep running around. This organization is broken. Vrabel is the only answer. I feel bad for Caleb Williams, but this is what he was worried about privately out here in Los Angeles. My people connected to him said, you're not going to be a bad guy, but, man, look at their history. They've never had a 4,000-yard passing quarterback. That's why I said the Chargers are a little bit – you can kind of look at the Chargers and go, well, look what they did. They got out of the way and got Harbaugh. But the Chargers had never been this dysfunctional. They just lost a bunch of close games. They always developed quarterbacks. They had a bunch of good players. And the ownership group was not meddling. I don't know if you can fix Chicago. Some things are unfixable. Okay, so let's just talk about the Vikings. Again, Raiders, Falcons, I can't put that in the first segment. So Sam Darnold, Minnesota has a tough decision. I would franchise Sam Darnold, keep him around. But they brought Daniel Jones in. They drafted J.J. McCarthy. It is likely that they're going to let Sam Darnold become, a free agent. And here's what's really interesting. I love Darnold. You know that. First of all, his success is a total indictment on the Jets in Carolina. I mean, Aaron Rodgers' career since he went to New York circled the toilet. Okay, so Sam Darnold is only 27 years old. So somebody's going to get a very good quarterback in his prime. Big, strong, mobile, playmaker, coachable kid. Here's the thing, though. You're not going to get this good of a Sam Darnold because I don't even have to tell you this. Coaching is not even in this league. I mean, the gap between a McVay and a Kevin O'Connell, Andy Reid, Sean Payton offensively, and the rest of the league, or most of the rest of the league, is the Grand Canyon. All that said, you're not going to get Kevin O'Connell. You're not getting Justin Jefferson. You're not getting Jordan Addison. The O-line is underrated. This is a perfect scenario for Sam. And I look around at all the teams that could get Sam Darnold, and I'm like, there's one exception. There's one exception. The Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson's had 14 starts. He completes 50% of his throws. It's a hard decision. Sometimes you just got to say, it's not working. The Colts roster, like the Vikings, above average. Colts have good receivers, not Justin Jefferson, good receivers. Their O-line, top 10 to 12 in the league. Their defense, go ask Bo Nix and Sean Payton. Their defense had the game won. Jonathan Taylor had a goofy decision and fumbled away the game, but he's an excellent running back. There is one place where Sam Darnold can go, and it's going to look closest to this. It's in the very winnable AFC South. It's not a great ownership division, even in Indy. It is wonky and winnable, and you'll get about 85%. You don't get a Justin Jefferson. You're not getting him. All right, he is just different. But I'm watching this last night, and I think they've got a very tough decision to make, but he's only 27 years old. Sam's got 3 to 4 years prime. That'll be the length of his contract. And I think Minnesota's going to let him go. I think I'd try to franchise him. But if they don't, coaching in this league is not even. But going from Kevin O'Connell to the Colts Shane Steichen, that's as well as Sam Darnold can do. Michael Pittman, he played with him at USC. Good O-line, nice roster. Sam Darnold Colts. You would get the closest version of Vikings Sam Darnold. I don't think Minnesota is a Super Bowl team, but I do think what you're seeing between Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold is this rebirth of really talented quarterbacks, and it is an indictment of the Cleveland Browns. It is an indictment for both of them with Carolina. It's an indictment of the Jets. Ownership, GMing, coaching is not close to equal in this league. So Darnold's going to either keep flourishing for the Vikings or potentially flourish for the Colts. And folks, if you watch Denver and the Colts, Bo Nix is right out of college. Second half, that's an NFL franchise quarterback. Colts don't have one. Took a swing, young kid, nice kid, doesn't work.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.